We'll come back to you on some of those points in a moment, Gary, but it was really interesting to hear Ole Gunnar Solskjær and Paul Pogba come out after the game and say pretty much the same thing, that something needs to change. What would it be if you were in charge, Jamie?
You can't play 5 attacking players. You can't. I've never believed that. I've said this on this show 12 months ago. I've never felt Pogba and Fernandes can play together centrally in the same team. So the first thing is that Pogba's got to come out of central midfield, but the reason Pogba's playing in central midfield, this all comes back to Ronaldo signing. I'm not trying to be clever after the event. I said when Ronaldo signed, this is a better signing for the Premier League than Manchester United. And as soon as Ronaldo signed, I knew he was the type of player who you could never leave out. He's got to play through the middle. And what's the knock-on effect? Pogba going to the left towards the end of last season, the start of this season, they'd almost fell upon something Manchester United. As soon as I saw Ronaldo come in, Pogba has to play centre midfield to get all these players, and he's got too many options. But when Pogba plays centre midfield, you see what Gary's just shown there, where there's a disconnect with the team. He's not disciplined enough to play central midfield. I'm not saying he should be out the team, but he's not a central midfield player in a Manchester United shirt. The 4 times Manchester United have played with a front 5, or Pogba's been central midfield this season in a 2. Let's look at the stats. And let's look at the playing against the Wolves. XG, I was at the game, I commentated, they won. Let's look, they've won 3 of those games, only lost 1. But look at the XG against. They've been so lucky. They were very lucky at Wolves, should have lost the game. Newcastle, possibly the worst team in the Premier League. OK, they beat them at home. Villarreal was one of the most one-sided games I've ever seen, I think, in a European game at Old Trafford. And what we saw yesterday was coming. That's what happens when not just Paul Pogba's in central midfield, but Manchester United are playing with 5 players. That is a huge problem for them in terms of going forward. And that has to change, because I think if that carried on and you continue to play all the big stars, I think they could struggle to finish in the top 4, Manchester United.
Do you agree? Too many attacking players?
No, I honestly, I've had my issues with Paul Pogba in midfield. I've had my issues with Paul Pogba generally and his agent over the last 2 years. Honestly, it's like having a windscreen where you've got 6 cracks in it and you have to change it anyway, but you think that the crack that is Paul Pogba is the one that you should focus on. I don't believe this is a Paul Pogba problem. And the reason I say that is that on Saturday I watched that game. I watched Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes up front. Nothing. I saw them flailing their arms a few times at a couple of their teammates, which I didn't like again. And that needs to stop. I saw wide players who, to be fair, had no intensity in the pressing. And Ole Gunnar Solskjær can't go back to McTominay and Fred. He can't go back to McTominay and Fred. He can't go back to Matic and Fred. Because the reality of it is, we know what that delivers. It won't deliver Manchester United success. And Ole Gunnar Solskjær has brought these talented players in. And Pep Guardiola plays with David Silva and De Bruyne and Sané and Aguero and Sterling, which are 5 attacking players. Let me finish, please. Right? What he needs to somehow try and prove is that he, as a top manager in his development as a coach this season, can get top players to work as hard as the other top players in the league. And I've got a graphic here, which, to be fair, demonstrates these are the most used forwards this season from Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City and Manchester United. And these are the top 12. Out of that top 12, there are 4 in it from Liverpool, there are 3 in it from Chelsea, there are 4 in it from Manchester City, and there is Jadon Sancho there, who is a low Manchester United body. Manchester United's forward players, it's not just Paul Pogba, they are not organised, which is a problem for the coach, and the coach needs to deal with, but they also need to get a shift in. Because I played with really great players, and I'm watching great players in this league like City and Liverpool, who are fantastic teams, by the way, as good as any teams I've seen in the history of the Premier League, this City and Liverpool team. And they work like dogs. They work like non-league central midfield players and forwards. And the best players in the world, players like Salah and Mane and De Bruyne and Foden, and all these great players, they're unbelievable. So why is it that we accept at Manchester United in their front part of the pitch that these players won't work as hard as them? I can't accept that. And Ole Gunnar Solskjær has got to go and get the best out of those players. Because if he doesn't, he's going to have a massive problem at the end of this season.